All right, let's talk some more football, all right? Broncos and Chiefs tomorrow night in Kansas City. And let's bring in right now Vahe Gregorian. He's a sports columnist at the Kansas City Star to talk about this matchup. Vahe, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Vahe, I'm looking at the injury report. The Kansas City Chiefs look pretty darn clean, pretty darn healthy going into this game. The Broncos a little beat up. And no, I'm not making any excuses for the Broncos. I'm wondering, though, the fervor in Kansas City for this game, because I think a lot of people, including us, think the Chiefs have a real opportunity here to beat the Broncos for the first time in a long, long time and to take a division lead.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, I think I look at it that way, and yet the weird thing is when a team's kind of had the hex on another team for a while, sometimes there's extra barriers to break through, and there's also extra incentives to try to break it. And the circumstances of Thursday night games are always so kind of weird anyway. So it's to me a little unpredictable, but I tend to think this is the Chiefs' chance to kind of declare where they really are and you know, finally crack through against the evil empire and make it just give some equilibrium to the whole thing.
What do you mean evil empire? The Broncos have never been described as evil
empire. Isn't that the Raiders you're talking about?
You have them confused with
I'm sorry, I meant
the
to
Patriots.
Say,
with Darth Vader.
I meant to say just nemesis. You know, those things all
rival kind of works, but you know, I'm going to take your words and hand them to the Broncos to put on the team plane and evil empire. What's the medical report on the media in Kansas City going into the game?
Well, no gout as far as I know. I have a little carpal tunnel. Hard to say about the laryngitis, but I thought that was rather fascinating, and I'm sure for whoever was around him, he had a little something for everybody. And I guess it was really just a big deflection thing, but I have to give him credit for originality.
Well, I should reveal this to everybody. I wasn't there. He said I was the healthiest guy in the media. I was at the doctor's office while he was doing that. I have said that because of the return of Eric Berry, because of the performance in the first game, because of the fact that the Broncos have won a record-tying number of division road games in a row, that there is so much motivation for the Chiefs that it's going to be virtually impossible for the Broncos to overcome that. Would you at least say that because of the circumstances that it does give the Chiefs every bit of motivation they could possibly want?
Oh, I do think so. Look, it's the home opener. Eric Berry's first game back, you know, in a regular season game. And, you know, a little under the radar on that is stuff like Derek Johnson, who's about to break the Chiefs franchise tackle record, and Mike DeVito. Each of them lost about 2 series apart last year in the opener with Achilles injuries. You got some real emotional aspects to this, and plus the frustration against the Broncos. The whole Thursday night, you know, try to break the decibel record and stuff, which I think is kind of phony anyway. I mean, not that it's not a really loud place, but I find that when those Guinness people have shown up in the past with a little instrument, it seems like they make their measured reading when the stadium's half full. I've never quite figured out how that thing really works, but I digress. I just think it'll be all in. And I've had people say, well, is there a danger that the Chiefs will, you know, put too much into this and peak too early? I do believe they understand there's 14 games left, that both teams understand that, but I think that I think this will be a real fervor here for both around the stadium and within the team.
The only thing that kind of scares me about this, though, is if I remember correctly, it was a couple of years ago that the Broncos went in there and weren't both teams undefeated at that point. Am I totally?
The Broncos had lost one, I think.
And the Broncos had lost to the Colts, I guess, and that was a great opportunity. And it seemed like everything was falling, and that was a night game, wasn't it? And I think it was a Sunday.
I think it was a Sunday game. I might be wrong. Yeah. I'm thinking of the one just 2 years ago when the Chiefs were like 8-0 or 9-0. I should have that number at my fingertips, but.
The Chiefs folded like a cheap church aluminum chair after that. If I remember, they were doing so great, and they stumbled down the stretch, and barely got into the playoffs and lost at home to the Colts. I'm trying to test my memory more than anything
Well,
else.
the Colts game, it was a little different than that just because not that it matters it was Homer on the road, but what you'll really remember about that is that the Chiefs bungled a 4-touchdown lead. And, you know, this may or may not be seared in the consciousness of you guys, but it sure is in Kansas City. The Chiefs have not won a playoff game since the 1993 season, 1994 calendar. And that's the third longest playoff win drought in the NFL.
Our guest is Vahe Gregorian of the Kansas City Star, and all of our guests brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Vahe, this is Kiz. I'm going to ask you a question.
Hey, Kiz, how's your gout?
It's doing much better, thank you. Thank you for asking. I expect you to pick me up at the airport and take care of me once I get there.
And he's been told to stop drinking, but he's disregarding that.
That's right. I'm not taking the doctor's advice. This is the insightful question that you know me for. What's Alex Smith got against wide receivers, and is he over it?
Well, tell you what. I think the thing that's goofy about that is, all right, so that is still a notable stat because it's been now, you know, a season and one game without a TD pass to wide receivers. But, you know, when you're lining up Jamal Charles occasionally split left and you got all kinds of different setups they're doing in the backfield, in a certain way, a touchdown pass is just a touchdown pass. I do believe also that what Houston decided most to take away on the Chiefs offense last week was Jeremy Maclin. And that opened it up for Travis Kelce. So, I mean, in a sense, it's a completely legitimate stat, and in a sense, it's just kind of a quirk. It will be interesting to see when they finally break that streak, though. It's rather bizarre.
There have been so many questions and stories surrounding Eric Fisher this week. I hate that distraction question, but how much truth do you put into the fact that Eric Fisher is a wuss, that he didn't want to play? Is he going to want to play against Von Miller? Now he's avoided J.J. Watt. Do you believe Andy Reid saying that it was his decision? Give us your opinion about what's going on in that situation.
Well, I think we're operating in a lot of murky area here. But first of all, I greatly trust our beat writer, Therese Taylor, and Sam Mellinger wrote a great column kind of illuminating the shadows a little bit about this. And I think the main thing we do know is there's been enough smoke around this that the real issue is, what do the Chiefs think of Eric Fisher? We don't exactly know what's going on there. We don't know what the real internal mechanisms are for sure, but we do know that there's been enough stuff kind of coming out of that locker room, at least one step removed, that says there are those in there who question his toughness. Now, that distraction question is kind of interesting because in my mind, if that was going to be an issue, it was really going to be an issue last week. But this stuff sort of seemed to come up late in the week, and now they're playing Reed, who they just got at right tackle. You know, days before, suddenly he's the right tackle on about 48 hours' notice, with probably, you know, you name the percentage of the playbook you could have digested by then. Five new starters on the line is what that shaped up as, and they weren't great, but they were a lot better than I thought they'd be. And I think schemes pretty well to figure out J.J. Watt. I mean, a way to at least minimize the carnage that he could wreak. So the distraction thing, I think, is not that big a deal right now in the tight moments of getting ready quick for another game. But I do think there's some philosophical questions there that are not yet answered about how we see this guy. And the thing is, that's really tricky is he is the overall number one pick, the only one the Chiefs have ever had, and that was the first statement made by this new regime. That's the guy they drafted. So there's a lot invested in Eric Fisher, and we're into his third season, and it does not look like it's really playing out very well.
You know all the smoke surrounding Peyton Manning talking about distractions. Do you think the Chiefs' attitude going into this game will be, let's make Peyton Manning beat us over the top, that we're just going to come full all out at Peyton Manning, try to get to him and say, okay, we're going to stop the running game and make Peyton beat us?
It seems like a funny thing just in a broad way to be saying that about Peyton Manning, but isn't that what they should do? I mean, it sure looks like that. Especially, I just am all kids all the time here. But I thought the Kevin Costner analogy was pretty apt from what I can tell. Now, I haven't really seen much of where the ball's fluttering for Peyton right now in person, so I don't know. But I trust the judgment of you guys, and it just doesn't look like it's the same thing, and it's been kind of heading that way for a little while. So, heck yeah, why not say that? And they, if you go down that way, then you go down that way. It's not like they can't adjust if the guy's zinging it in there all of a sudden.
Hey, Vahe, we're all going to want to read you over the next 3 days, so give us your Twitter handle, if you will, please.
It's at V like Victor Gregorian, and you'll recognize it for the little golden retriever icon that
Yep.
I just can't bear to part with.
Yep.
So a lot better than my mug.
We love your tweets. We love your column. We love your chants.
Bye. Thanks, man.
Well, I hope you guys get in, stay off the injury list here.
Final question. Oh, this is the most important question of all time.
Yeah.
So, what barbecue restaurant within 3 miles of the Courtyard Airport would you recommend that Kiz and I eat at tonight? Because that's the only shot we got because we're at the airport.
Courtyard Airport. Dang it, you guys are way up there. I'm going to urge you to try to come into the big city and get the Char Bar. Look it up. It's in Westport. It's kind of new, and if you can find a way, zip in, zip out, just do it. I wish I knew some spots up there. It's just I like Denver. The airport's so far out.
Yeah, that's the problem. And the other thing is, I don't think the Courtyard shuttle is going to take us to Westport.
It may not.
Vahe, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.